Fired up, that's one way to describe the atmosphere during the first night of the Democratic National Convention, from Joe Biden's passing the baton speech to Harris's surprise address. DNC Night 1 went off without a hitch. Many key players fueled the excitement. Thunderous applause broke out in the arena for New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Let's watch.
Ever since I got elected, Republicans have attacked me by saying that I should go back to bartending. But let me tell you, I'm happy to any day of the week because there is nothing wrong with working for a living.
Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sought to contrast Harris and Trump.
She became a career prosecutor while he became a career criminal. With 34 felonies, 2 impeachments, and 1 porn star to prove it.
And Golden Gate Warriors coach Steve Kerr quoted star NBA player Steph Curry.
After the results are tallied that night, we can, in the words of the great Steph Curry, we can tell Donald Trump, night, night.
And here was Hillary Clinton.
This is our time, America. This is when we stand up. This is when we break through. The future is here. It's in our grasp. Let's go win it.
Joining us now to recap the first day of the DNC is Democratic strategist Nomi Konst. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great to see you. Give us the rundown on the energy at the DNC this past 24 hours.
It was fascinating. I mean, I've been to, and I'm aging myself here, every single convention since 2000 when I was a young 16-year-old, and everything was so exciting and new to me. And I will say that this convention reminded me of that era. I won't say that everybody in the room agrees with each other. You know, DNC delegates are diverse. You have more establishment, moderate delegates, and you have really progressive delegates. And what was interesting is, unlike, say, 2016, where I was on the floor as a Bernie delegate and surrogate, people were unified. I mean, people were who maybe a few years ago were fighting over convention details and platform issues and rules committee procedures, were standing up in unison for Hillary Clinton. I mean, I even found myself a little surprised by how moved I was given her speech. And I think it's really just in the face of what we're up against in Project 2025 and just how brazen Donald Trump is, that I think people really are seeing the vision of the Democratic Party much clearer, and that's playing out on the floor in terms of energy. It's been a rough few conventions, and I gotta say this one is lighter, but we're not. No one's taking this for granted. No one thinks that we're going to go in and win this all the way. I think everyone feels very prepared for what we're up against with Republicans.
It was very tempting to ask you about your skincare routine after you revealing that, but I'll save that for after the show.
In this lighting? Oh my God, I'm in a conference room right now at an event.
Let's talk about AOC's speech. I saw on Twitter, it was blowing up. People were very happy with it. They were saying she's a great orator. For me, the party conventions feel a little bit like political theater. They give me an ick in a way. Maybe that's just me, but tell us about the energy in the room. How did people receive this speech from AOC, who was formerly an outsider to the Democratic Party?
Played a little bit more on TV. I mean, people were excited, and there were some delegations that were chanting her name, but the biggest excitement was, there was a very long standing ovation for President Biden. Honestly, for Hillary Clinton, there was a very large, people were chanting her name, and I think she felt it, and her speech was probably one of the best we've ever seen. AOC was dynamic, exciting. Jasmine Crockett had a great response, but, I think the media really wants to hone in on AOC in every way possible because she's great to discuss. But in terms of the whole lineup, I think she was, up there with many others. But, she brought hope. I think the DNC committee really wanted to highlight the vast differences of the party, how we're a big tent, how the next generation does have energy and ideas and can be witty. Representative Jamie Raskin got a great response from the audience. So she was wonderful, but I don't think she stood out in comparison to this great lineup of other leaders that we were able to showcase.
What was your perspective on Biden's remarks? Biden obviously began speaking very late at night, as some people noted. It was past a lot of people's bedtimes, past the point where actually Joe Biden, right, is supposed to be. We've been told he's on the ball. He knows what he's saying only between certain hours. Giving a speech to a room full of people, many of whom participated in the process to force him to stop running for president. He didn't sound particularly bitter about that, even if maybe he actually is. I would certainly understand if he was. What was your reaction to his speech?
I think he did very well. Listen, we were all very tired. Many delegates and folks who came to the convention faced a little behind the scenes drama here, faced flight issues coming in because there were storms across the East Coast. So I can't tell you how many folks I spoke to, Congress members who slept at or just stayed up all night at the airports in the tri-state region. So on one hand, there was a lot of energy in the crowd, but on the other hand, everyone was complaining that they really needed to sleep. And, of course, there's after parties that people were reluctant to go to. So if we were feeling that, I can't imagine what he was feeling. But in terms of his speech, I think it was very strong. I think he really stepped up. I think the audience was very engaged with him. Folks teared up when, of course, he embraced his daughter and his daughter's opening, Ashley Biden, how she spoke about their relationship, and then how he teared up. It was what Joe Biden does best, and he really took it home. I mean, I was watching the teleprompter because that's a fun game you can do, and he went off script a lot too. So it was fascinating to see this person who everyone's criticized for not being able to speak, off script. Or really step up because of his age, but showing that he was still able to do that and deliver a very strong, long speech, mainly about democracy, and giving a lot of credit to Kamala. When they were chanting Joe Biden and thank you, Joe, for, I forgot which one of the things that he accomplished, he said, thank Kamala too. So he knows his role. I'm sure, he doesn't love the fact that he had to step down, but it seems as if he's coming to terms with it. His family was in the front sitting on a couch, and it was really lovely to see them. You could see their reactions and how they were moved when he made certain statements. And so it felt very familial. And that is something I don't remember in other conventions. While, of course, they're performative, this convention, while it was always in production, no one expected Kamala Harris, of course, to be the nominee. So there's been a lot of ad-libbing along the way, including last-minute speakers that I'm learning even today. But with that being said, it's somehow a little bit more intimate. I don't feel that tension that we've had over the years. Even with Obama in 2012, we were pretty much unified, but it didn't have this intimacy. There's something a little bit raw about this convention. And I think that's also why folks are embracing Tim Walz, because he's just more open and down to earth, and somehow that's translating into the crowds, and even in response to Joe Biden, who was the sitting president. So it was a very intimate, emotional experience, I think, for a lot of folks. I saw people crying when he spoke. I saw people crying when Hillary spoke, and of course, I know we'll discuss this later, but a lot of the personal stories of folks who've experienced hardship under Republican in red states under Republican leadership. So it was a pretty moving convention night.
Abortion's a key issue this election cycle. Donald Trump said he would appoint justices that would overturn Roe. Roe was overturned, and since then, 9 states have put abortion bans into effect that include cases of rape. 5 other states, in addition to those 9, include a ban on abortion in cases of rape at a very early stage or after it's been reported to law enforcement. And now there's a new study out that shows in states where these abortion bans have gone into effect, there have been 64,000 pregnancies as of January in those states as a result of rape. And last night they had Hadley Duvall as a speaker at the DNC, who spoke about being raped by her stepfather at the age of 12. That's when she took her first pregnancy test. And she said she can't imagine not having that choice. Can you talk about that speech from Hadley Duvall and what the energy was around the issue of abortion at the DNC?
You could hear a pin drop. We had chills. I was sitting in a row full of middle-aged men, and they were crying. It was incredibly powerful. Her speech talking about how she was a cheerleader, and she was, I think she said she was homecoming queen. And then she later says, but, I also have been a survivor, and her stepfather raped her, and she was pregnant. And, these are the personal stories that we need to lean into. I think in the past, Democrats have skirted around leaning into the personal, or, in a speech, maybe just quoting one person's experience. I think is a very smart decision on whoever decided to bring in folks to tell their personal narratives about what happens when you are in one of these red states. And it's not just abortion. I mean, they're going after IVF now. They're closing women's health clinics where you could just get your breast examined for potential breast cancer. This is absolutely a war on women. And I think women across the country will definitely relate to that, but so will men. One of the couples that was on stage, the husband of the couple who faced issues when his wife was put in tremendous risk because she was facing a miscarriage, the doctor said they couldn't even say that she had a miscarriage legally. And he stated, this isn't a women's rights issue. This is also an issue for men. And the crowd went crazy. This is clearly an issue that I think is going to sway voters. We're seeing that in other states and off cycles where, Ohio, Florida, where women, whether they're pro-Trump or not, this is a deciding factor. And if we can lean in and potentially earn some men as well who can stay off the sidelines and vote on this issue, I think it's really important. But those were that little chunk of narratives, and also some of the videos where people shared their personal stories. People were incredibly moved.
Nomi Konst, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Apologies for the noise. It's DNC. So
No, you sounded
It's been
good.
fun.
We appreciate it.
It's everywhere.